that part out. I know it's probably not going to be looking the best either, but I just wanted to get this in there. It's just I'm going to tell you information based around the cannabis industry that people don't really get often unless they're involved in the industry. I sort of changed that concept in my mind a long time ago when the consulting firm that I started just wasn't picking up with the drasticness that I thought that was needed. But I guess it's kind of goes back into it. I don't really read books that much. I listen to the audio tapes. I buy the book and I follow it along. But mostly, misinformation happens too consistently to check a book for it. So and obviously we have online, which is this crazy tool that allows us to talk to people all across the world and record things that are going to last for a really long time. And that was kind of my mindset was, let's record this. So in that way, it'll always be available for people that need it. So as a jumping into the topics, basically I'm an expert in the cannabis industry. I wrote a book, The Karabudsan by BrandonMSweeney. It's a field guide to the cannabis industry and cannabinol industry. And it's the general 101 to the MD looking for medical documented research and patents. There's over 40 patents in the book that have to deal with cannabis in some way. And cannabis is a term, the technical term. Everything beyond that is the species of cannabis. And we go into like the 101s is basically what we're talking about is that there are different types of cannabis. There's hemp. That's considered rubialis, which is no THC in it, but it looks like it. I don't know if you guys have ever been driving down the road and think you saw a huge pot plant one time, and it's literally there's just millions of leaves and there's nothing. I remember being in Missouri one time and they were saying it's ditchweed, and it's basically what it's hemp. But anyway, so continuing on, there's different types of cannabis, and the reason why we have that in particular is because hybridization. And if you trace it back, one of the things that I wrote the book on and why I wrote the book was that I was a genetic lineage specialist. What I did was for the staff and people, guests that came in, patients, any strain that was on the shelf, I directly researched it beforehand, so that way I knew that the parents for each strain, and followed it back to its genetic family lineages throughout the hybridization of the plant all the way to its land-raised, if it ever were to have been a land-raised strain. Land-raised strains are 100% indica or 100% sativa, and they derive in a specific area usually. We have Durban poison, which comes from Durban, Africa, 100% sativa, and then just the basics. Go and jump right into the 100% indica, Afghanistan. There's a lot of different types. That's kind of why I wanted to write the book and explain it a little bit more in depth of helping out people find this information, because it is vast and far between. I didn't really find that there was too many. And I explored the industry quite often, going to different places, dispensaries and stuff like that in different states. And basically, you never got that like hominess feel that was like, you were comfortable talking with somebody, you know what I mean? And I get it too. Not everybody has that skill or trait or confidence in themselves, I guess, to portray that sense of resonance with another person, unless you're into it and that's what you're there for. And that's why I did this. I just want to help people. I don't care if I make any money from it or not. Eventually, and most authors, they'll tell you this to the day, to date, you don't really make any money from your books, and that's why I never published it. Not to mention that there's a lot of documented information, researched information, and not all of it is my wording, if that makes sense. So to negate plagiarism and stuff like that, there is points of the book that in scientific forms, it's hard to rewrite, if that makes sense. Not to mention that there's other people that have researched great information, just like Dr. Bonnie Goldstein, and then you also have she's a specialist in epilepsy and seizure patients out in Colorado. And she's an amazing study, and I definitely recommend the research on her. And then you also have there are Dr. Sanjay Guptas, and of course the father of THC, Dr. Raphael McCallum. These are all great people, especially to research and find behind their work that they're proving that all the stigma is wrong, basically. That cannabis is a plant that's meant to help people in their daily lives. In fact, in our brains, we have an endocannabinoid system, which helps regulate homeostasis. And you find it in reading into the studies and stuff like that. There is a study showing that people with epilepsies and seizures tend to have a deficiency in their endocannabinoid production in their brains. And in that way, your brain is producing cannabinol, but it has trouble keeping up with it. Your body uses it in all these different ways, and there's only so much that your body, just like dopamine or serotonin or anything like that. It's, your brain is chemically creating that compound for you to be, smiling and happy and or pain free. And even in that way, it's never. I don't think that there's ever going to be a pain free. I think that there's like a mindset that you're able to take away from thinking about the pain, if that makes sense. I have flat feet. And I luckily had a great chiropractor when I was at a young age, and he told me, or my parents told my parents that, to help fight this for the rest of his life, you should get him in skates. What this skating, ice hockey does is it builds up your muscles in your legs, your Achilles tendons and your thighs, and the fact that I don't have an arch in my foot, and I can't really run for long distances at a time. Is the reason why I use cannabis, and it's changed my life. But not to mention that the mindsets that I have ADHD really bad, so not to mention a phonic dyslexia. So it was tough for me learning in school, and also I think the only one person in my life knew that I had a disability of speech was actually Miss Renee from my elementary school. She noticed it because she could tell that I'd stutter or put the word in a different sentence later on. Well, anyways, long story short is that when I started using cannabis for the first time, I realized that when I spoke, it just came out just so elegantly, and I'm like, what the, whoa, I never could do that, basically. I could never just speak my mind without it being a stuttered pattern words coming into a sentence that you had to kind of and people will read my writing, can tell why, I read things the way it would sound. The I before E thing doesn't mean anything to me. It does now, but like back then it was really hard to understand that. So the sounds and how things sound, I read it as it looks, which can be complicated at times. But passing over, I've many of companies now, and I wanted to share my experiences for the long term here. Is that way you can go back and use this information. You can find my free book. It's on my website. A2, that's the letter A, the number 2, and then consultingfirm.com. And just fish around and you'll see it. It's free on there. You just have to sign in with your email. And then you can even download the book. I really, it means no minds to me. I don't want anything from you. I just want you to have the information. And I think that it's funny how you have a lot of these. I listen to motivational videos all the time because it is stressful, being in your own business and all that stuff and working for yourself because you really have to do everything. But then you build to a goal, not doing everything, right? But realistically, the book is a great piece of information for people to find. There's links, and like I said, it's free. It's not a sucker, and I'm not going to send you a million emails or anything like that. If you would like to talk to me, I'm sure you can also use that as a resource to kind of get a hold of me specifically. I try to be as forthright as possible, but I am really busy. One of the other companies that I own is A2 Fly. A2 Fly is a health and wellness brand, and we're a leading provider for CBD products in the cannabis industry and from the cannabis industry, legal cannabis products. We deal with CBD products. We partner products with Cannabinoid Creations, and also as a brand ambassador for O2 Vape for quite some time. We did national trade shows, and it's a great quality pen. And the reason why that I did brand my own pen with them is because of the issue I was having with the industry having just really bad quality. That there's something to be said about craftsmen, like, they give you that lifetime warranty and they build quality products. And I don't mean to just name drop like that, but at the same point, it makes so much sense. When you have a quality product and you stand behind it, you would give a warranty on it, because that's what people kind of look for and lean towards, is that they have that to fall back on. And nobody wants to buy 1,000 pen batteries and deal with that nonsense. Not to mention that back when I was working at the dispensary, we had thousands of these things, like just gushing everywhere, oil, people coming in every day, every 5 minutes, like just mad about this thing. So the fact that I had the chance to work with O2 Vape it was a blessing, and not to mention just for my dispensary, but then to be able to go out and see those industry trade shows was just epic, and it's brought me to being and doing what I do today, which has helped lots of people, whether I know it or not. I do have my clients and all that stuff and my customers, but you can always use my resources. It's kind of why I did this too. So, A2Fly, the same thing, A2, and then FLY.com is a great place to grab your CBD products from, which are hard to find. And they are legal in all 50 states. Depends on the sourcing and all that stuff, which is kind of why I did the consulting firm and all that stuff, is to help people find the right information. No more misinformation, at least, to the best of our ability. This stuff is researched and put through the ringer. Like I said, too, I've worked with these companies for years and years, so I really know the quality of it and the firsthand experience of getting all those smiles and happy people when they find something that they can believe in and be a part of and share. That's what I'm doing here, is I wanted to share. I don't want it to be, years and years later, I'm going to be 65, 70 years old, and then finally get to, oh my God, this book is amazing, oh, look at all these great things. I want to be young and die, okay? I don't want to be an old man, decrepit, and then, be standing there shaking hands and all that stuff. It's not why I'm doing this. I could die tomorrow, and this information could just be passed away, and nobody ever gets it. So as a forthright to that, let's talk about some stuff. Basically, jumping into the book and all that, this can be short and sweet, but it can also be really long. It depends on what your informational status is for. Like I said, you can spot reference in the book and find a lot of really cool information that's not really out there. And quite frankly, if I was to just gush on a client about a lot of this stuff, it would be expensive. It would take some time, and I do block time off of my website. So, I try to schedule all my appointments for Friday, because I'm usually busy throughout the week helping clients, and then also doing the workshops where I teach the 3 different courses of genetic lineage certification workshop, and then a customer service workshop, and basically product information workshop to help explain the products that are in the dispensaries. And it's Budtender Workshops, basically, is what it's for. So you get a budtender that's comfortable, savvy, and understands what your questions, but also knows when to shut up and knows when to speak. Kind of let the customer tell you what they need, and then you source it for them in the store. And not giving them a ring around, and not just lying to them to get them out the door, whatever it is they're selling a product. Like, really trying to help the patient for what it is. And I understand too that a lot of the stuff is, the medical bracket. I even heard in Alaska they can't even reference medical information to the patient as budtenders, which is just insanity to me. Not to mention that you should never just take one person's word for anything, ever. Why would you do that from listening to the budtender at the local dispensary? I would never just take one person's word for anything. I mean, in counsel and stuff like that, sure, it's great to have good information, but you should always take what that person's saying and break it down for yourself. Because if you don't, then you are putting your trust in somebody that might not know shit about what you're talking about, might just want to sell you that product because that's their buddy's thing, and they want to upsell the shit out of it while they're there. Who knows? But I get it. And this is, again, it's the PDF that I released as the a2consultingfirm.com website. The Karabudsan is the field guide to the cannabis industry and cannabinol industry for those types of people who just, they need to find the information, but they don't want to just keep reading blogs and stupid shit where it's like, who is this person? Not to mention then the company itself that's selling the product. And yeah, of course I put my stuff in the book, because obviously I want you to have the best products and not deal with any of the other BS. But at the same point, you got to understand that these companies are the real deal. They are legit. They're authenticated, and I just want to save you a headache. As a consultant, that's my goal. Even if you're a client of mine, that's my number one thing. I want you to vent on me. Tell me what all your issues are, and then I'm going to go down the checklist and just make sure that those things aren't going to happen. How do you solve the problem? And that's why I had the book. That's why I started a consulting firm. That's why I did A2Fly, is that I'm solving problems. And it might not be as a client-based problem. At this point, I'm my own client because I did all this stuff to get it off the ground and going, because I saw that there was so much need for it. And with that being said, you can't ever not have a need for information. Now, you can always have new information that may, take the qualification of what information you are putting out there and give a new, more in-depth explanation on it. And that's exactly what I wanted from my book. My self-published book is not for you to take my information verbatim or Dr. Bonnie's information verbatim and just, that's the truth, that's it. No, I want you to research it. I want you, now that you have a reference point that you can go back to and look to, and that you're not paying for in a time continuance that's like, oh my God, I gotta get all this in 30 minutes of talking to Brandon, or I gotta read this whole, read these 13 different publications on something to find out. You can find this information in my book, and then use those publicational informations that you're finding, via Facebook, whatever magazine company or whoever. But it's never should be just one person's information. And the reason why I say that too is because even the information that's in it could be wrong eventually. Some of the stuff like I said, I'm dyslexic for sake. I mean, really, I tried my ass off. My co-author, Monique Charbonneau, she's an amazing person. Me and her she helped me write my thoughts on paper. And the way I wrote the book was kind of so it sounds like me telling you. So it's not just me just pushing all this information on you and then you sort through it. It's like me walking you through a course of okay, here's how, and all this. But of course, in the beginning too, I put in my own storyline of it because, you got to have some, your story. Everybody's got their story, and this is mine. So, but in the ways that I just want to help you. I don't know you. I hope to know you, but I really think that there's some really cool things that we're going to be able to do in life when we stop trying to challenge ourselves with money and just share the information. But it does take drive, and I hope that you find this video and that you like it, and we build more, and you come and find my website and maybe even ask me a question or two, or we become a client or a customer. So but again, at the end of the day, I don't care. I want you to be sufficient getting the information that you're seeking with somebody that you can trust. And I know I'm sitting in my room right now just making this video, but I couldn't sit around anymore, in my mind, saying that, man, this is something that just needs to be out there as far as digital versus analog. You can't really expect everybody to pick up a book and read it, nor did I publish it, so you'd have to read it on your phone or download it and read it in your iPhone. But, and in that way too, this is supposed to be the evolution, the re-education of cannabis and cannabinol. And in closing this, I think it's one of the, I believe what the elders believe, that the legalization of cannabis is going to be done through education. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do, is help educate the world. Everything starts small and maybe even a dream or a seed, but eventually it grows. And this has been 3 years. I put a lot of hard work into doing a lot of the information that I've published out there and still have yet to publish or self-publish. So I hope that you get this information and share your comments, thoughts, follow, subscribe, whatever. Like it, don't like it. I'm BrandonMSweeney, and I hope that I help educate you a little bit about just either myself or the cannabis industry. And go read my book. It's kind of like that frequently asked questions page on a2fly.com. So a lot of great information. It's taken a lot of time to do too. So I appreciate you. I love you, and I hope that you have a blessed day. Thank you.